Today we're going to plant up 3 different container combinations for fall. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and when I put these container combinations together, I kind of took different design aspects in mind, and they're going to all have a totally and completely different look to them. So let's go ahead and get our hands in the dirt and start planting. So first off, I have 15-inch just basic plastic planters that I'm going to be planting my plants into. So I'm going to fill it up with soil. And when I fill up my planters, I usually fill it up to about an inch and a half below the top of the container. So with this particular planter, what I did is I went and I found some of the Suncredible yellow sunflowers. This is actually a Suncredible Saturn, and I used this with the Thriller in mind, so the tall upright design element for this planter. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it from the container. And as you can see, they have a lot of roots on them. So I'm going to go ahead and just break off some of these roots. Typically we don't worry about doing that, but because it is fairly root bound, being late here in the season, I'm just going to kind of rip off some of those roots. So that way it'll encourage more root growth. Now with how I'm designing this planter, I'm going to have a back to this particular one. So I'm going to put the Suncredible in the back. So that's going to give me nice height to the back of this planter. Next I have here an aster. This is the Aster Henry, and I love asters. Most of what we're planting here today are annuals, although this aster may overwinter in your garden if you give it a try. Especially if you're in a warmer zone, you'll have better luck with overwintering than what we do here in Michigan. So I'm going to go ahead and plant the aster off to the side. And I love how the yellow and purple look together. The little yellow eyes with the sunflowers, they really are complementary to each other. Next I have a celosia. So this is the celosia Dragon's Breath, and this is going to be not only beautiful flower color but foliage color as well. You can see the beautiful magenta colorations, and the flowers are just starting here. So as this plant continues to grow, we'll see a lot more of the flower color as well. And I'm going to plant this right in front of the sunflower, so more in the very center of this container. Going along the lines of more flower color, I grabbed a nice yellow marigold, which I think is complementary here with the Saturn sunflower, so it'll kind of draw the color to the front of this container. Now this really, I don't think is a very traditional looking fall planter because I don't have any garden mums in it. Now I will be planting up some that do have garden mums in just a moment, but I wanted to kind of try to think outside the box with the plants that I was selecting. I also chose here a coleus, and this particular coleus is the Color Blaze Sedona Sunset, which has really nice fall colors on it. And I'm going to tuck that here in the side. I'm going to bring this marigold, plant it just a little bit deeper so it's not so tall. Take my soil, fill in around the gaps. And it's ready to go. So the sunflower as our thriller, and then I used a lot of just foliage color and some flower color to be our fillers. For this particular combination, I did not use any spillers, but I think this is going to look really lovely on somebody's porch. So sometimes once you get your planter set on the ground and you're looking at them from all angles, you think, wow, that did not look how I wanted it to. And that's kind of the case with this one. I feel like this sunflower just is not in the right position, which is going to be an easy fix. We're going to go ahead and swap the sunflower and the celosia out. So I'm going to just remove them here from the planter. And the nice thing is I haven't watered this in yet, so the soil is really loose. So by putting the sunflower here in the center, what's going to be nice about that is the other plants will kind of hold it up, and then that way the color will go all around this thriller. My original thought was that this was going to be the back of the pot with the sunflowers, but it just didn't look right. So it's okay to redo things if they don't look exactly how you were intending them to in the first place. So now that I have the sunflower there in the center, something else isn't looking very pleasing to me. And I'm sure you're seeing it as well as I spin this pot. Do you notice how I have two foliage things together and I have two flower things together? I don't like that either. So this is going to give me another opportunity to redo and replace. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the marigold and slide the coleus over. Again, because the soil is nice and loose, this is easy to do. Oh, that looks great together. I'm loving that color, that pairing. And then tucking the marigold here in the back of the container. So now it looks better, I think, because we've got the flowers breaking up the foliage. So now let's take a look as we spin it around. Flower, foliage, flower, and I'm gonna fit, I'm gonna go grab another plant because with doing this, it's leaving a gap here. So I'm gonna grab another flower to put here. And then we've got that beautiful coleus. Give me just a second while I go and find the perfect flower to tuck in here. I think I'm gonna look for some pansies, maybe something purple that will complement this purple aster. So let's go take a look at what I went and found. So I went out and found some pansies. We have the Frizzle Sizzle purple or blue, and then the Frizzle Sizzle yellow blue. So this has got the purple and the yellow, and this has got just the purple. So I think by putting those in, it's just going to nicely fill in that gap with colors that we're already using in this planter. So let me go ahead and remove them and get them planted in. See, just a nice little gap there, and let's get all these gaps filled in because I don't want to see dirt, we want to see flowers. There we go. So by adding just those few little pansies in, we used complementary colors to what we had in this planter already, and it just fills in that gap nicely, completing this look for this fall container combination. Planter number 2 is going to have a little bit more of a traditional flair. We're going to use the Garden Mum, but we're going to shake it up a little bit by adding in a few of the beautiful coleus, which have excellent fall color to them. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to plant this one up. So like I mentioned, a lot of people will just put a Garden Mum in the center of the pot and it's good to go. And it does, it looks gorgeous. But we want to just jazz it up a little bit and give it just a little bit more interest. So how we're going to do that is by, like I mentioned, put those heuchera in with it. So we're going to go ahead and pop this out of its current container. These are our 9-inch Garden Mums. And wow, isn't that a beautiful thing? When we grow our Garden Mums, we grow them with plenty of space so that when you get them, they're a nice round shape. Nothing worse than when you get a mum at a box store or other places and they have flat sides to them. You want a nice circular mum, and that's what we love to do here at Garden Crossings. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch the soil out of the way a little bit because obviously this has a nice deep root ball, and I'm going to put this at the back of my 15-inch container. So here we have it really snugged up nice and tight to the back, leaving just a little bit of room here in the front for me to tuck in these heuchera. So we are going to be using Fun and Games Hopscotch. This is actually a heucherella. This is a perennial, so this is something that you could plant into your landscape after the fall decor enjoyment is done. So you could plant this out in the landscape. So it's nice when we use perennials because then you can repurpose them not only for your fall decor, but enjoy them for years to come in the landscape. So I'm going to dig a little hole in here and just tuck this in under the Garden Mum and push it in there nice and tight because obviously I want my mum to be poking up and over the foliage here of that heucherella. Now that would be silly if we would just have one, so we're going to put another one in as well. And this one is the Mahogany Monster, and this has got beautiful kind of coppery reddish. Look at the underneath of those leaves, beautiful. So that too I think is going to blend really nice together. The nice thing with heuchera or heucherella is there's a lot of different foliage color as options. So there's, there's chartreuses, there's pinks, there's blacks, there's reds and oranges, just a lot of different colors. So great colors that would mix well with the various mum colors that are out there. Let's go ahead and tuck this in like so. And by doing that, it's just giving just a little bit of extra interest here in the front of this container. So put in some soil to fill in around the edges. There's also kind of a little tip with garden mums. So here in Michigan, a lot of times people will plant their garden mums when they're in full bloom. So they're enjoying them in their gardens, fully bloomed out. And then the next season they say, well, my mums never came back. Well, in Michigan, mums can be kind of temperamental. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. But one thing I will say is if you are planting a garden mum that is in full bloom, the chances of it coming back the following season is going to be fairly slim. And the reason why is because that mum has put all of its energy into producing the beautiful flower canopy, that it's not putting any energy into the roots. And the roots is what takes you through the winter into the next spring, giving you that color that you're looking to have year after year. So if you are able to get garden mums that are just in bud, you'll probably have better chances of them overwintering here in climates like Michigan, opposed to planting a fully bloomed out one. There we go, jazzing up just a little bit of the traditional mum with perennials. For this planter, we're taking a little mix of traditional and adding in some ornamental grass to give some unique height to this container combination. So the grass we're using is the Juncus grass. This is the blue Mohawk grass. This actually is a perennial here in Michigan. So this is a grass that you could potentially plant out in your landscape after you are done using it in your planter. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. This plant is very mature. I'm going to have to actually crack the pot off of it, which is nice with these new eco pots, is they can easily be cracked because they're starting to break down at this point in the season. And if I wanted to, if I was planting this out in the landscape, I could take this eco pot, crumble it up, and just throw it right into the soil. It will break down, and it also adds a little bit of nutrients to your soil as well. So we'll get that off there. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to go for that back of the pot look again. We'll see how this works. So I'm going to plant it in the back. So it's going to be the Thriller that's going to be in the back of the planter. So this would be a planter I would be planting like up against the side of my house, so nobody's going to be looking at the back side of it. So this blue Mohawk grass is giving us just that nice upright Thriller feel. Next, we're going to be traditional, and we're going to take a garden mum. And these are our quart-sized garden mums, which are perfect for containers, especially mixed containers, or if you're looking to do window boxes, they're just kind of that perfect size for window boxes and containers. So we'll pop that out, and I'm going to plant this right up front and center. Next, I've got some peppers, and these are ornamental peppers, and this particular variety is called Hot Pops. So you're seeing shades of purple and of orange coming through. I was trying to decide, we have another pepper that has a much bigger pepper on it, but I thought these were kind of fun and whimsy and just felt kind of light and airy as well. So this is going to be symmetrical. For those of you who watch me know that a lot of times I am very much into symmetry when I'm planting things up. So on either side of that garden mum, we're going to be putting these peppers in. Kind of a fun Halloween look too with that orange and that purple. And because this just doesn't have enough splash of color for me, I'm going to be adding in some of the Frizzle Sizzle yellow pansies, which is going to add just a little extra splash of color. And with those, we're going to plant sort of next to and behind the peppers. That kind of helps break up the greens a little bit. And we're gonna actually, I have 2 of them, but I'm gonna grab 1 more because fall planters have a very short life, at least they do for us here in Michigan. Usually they'll be about 6 weeks or so before we get our first hard frost that kind of makes our planters not look great. So I'm gonna grab 1 more to put it in the center here just to give us that vibrant splash of color that I'm looking for. All right, let's get this 3rd one in here, and that is gonna absolutely fill in that gap perfectly. All right, so there we go. We've got the Frizzle Sizzle Yellow Pansies, the Power Pops Pepper, and then the beautiful Garden Mom. The beauty of being in the garden center is I have so many selections to choose from. So I was going to do the pansy, but I thought, you know what, I want something with just a little bit more bold coloration. So I went out and grabbed the aster. I thought, you know, the aster would look really pretty, especially with the purple there and the peppers. But when I set it in here, it's not proportional to what we have going on. So I kind of decided against that particular one. So then when I was out, I was looking at the coleus, and this particular coleus has a little bit of that bronze coloration going on, which I think will pull out the bronze here of the Garden Mom really nice. So this mom is just starting to bloom, and as it continues, it's going to get more and more color going on. So it's going to really, you know, have a lot more of the bronze to bring out the bronze here of the coleus. So this is the Apple Brandy coleus, and let's just tuck that down in there and see. Yes, so I think this is better because it's more proportional. We're seeing more of that foliage color sitting just right over top of the mums and above the peppers and the mums. The pansies are kind of hanging out to the edge just nicely. So I think proportionally this is going to be a better look than the aster. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in around here with some garden soil, and this will be ready to go out on the sales floor. I hope that today this gave you a little fall inspiration. You can head to our website, gardencrossings.com, and shop from all of these beautiful plants that I've used today. If you're local, stop in at our Spot to Pot, get your hands dirty, and create your own planters right here in store. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.